Hello, it's something new, a new show. What's the card? Welcome to our first episode of this new format of the show. Something new we're trying. Let us know what you think. I'm Jeff Wilson, the sports card investor, and I am here with my good friend, the commissioner, Don Weddington.
Well, I'm not really a commissioner, but we do have a fantasy football league that's, I think, 12 years old, 15 years. I mean, it's a long time. And I've commissioned a couple of leagues, and we talk about sports. And honestly, this is really my first sneak peek behind the scenes. I know a lot of you out there, along with myself, have wondered, what's the inner sanctum like here at the Sports Card Investor? And I can tell you, it's pretty cool. I literally tripped over boxes of Lonzo Ball's cards. It's insane.
Lonzo everywhere.
It's literally insane.
Lonzo everywhere.
It's crazy. Anyhow, enough of that.
So let's get to the show. Here's how this is going to work. Each of these episodes, we have 8 different cards that we're going to pull out.
Right.
Each of these cards have a question on the back of them. Let's go ahead and get started. So these are all cards from my personal collection. And Don, the first one here, very timely. You may recognize Mr. Carmelo Anthony. That is
Very
a
nice.
flawless dual patch auto of Carmelo Anthony. So the question is, with Carmelo's recent signing with the Trailblazers, this will have a blank long-term impact on his card prices.
Carmelo. Honestly, I'm going to say 0. Because I feel like Carmelo is a known entity. Like, his stuff is kind of baked in. Unless you feel like the Trailblazers are going to win the title, which I personally do not feel.
No, off to a bad start.
I don't know if there's going to be enough. I mean, his story's been told. He's tried this at the Knicks. He's tried this at Oklahoma City. He's just kind of been around at this point. And again, Hall of Famer, Olympian, gold medalist, great. But I think his card prices are what they are.
I would say that this is going to have an Allen Iverson-esque effect on his card prices, because Allen Iverson is one of those guys who hung around the league too long. And he had a storybook career, and that storybook career, the last few years, it was a sad ending. And by the way, his card prices sagged. And Carmelo, these last couple of years, he's had these awful stays. Where was he last? Houston? Or was this awkward stay? Oklahoma City before that?
Houston for like 10 days or something. It was terrible.
It was these awful...
Look, let's be clear.
It was a bad look for a guy who should be a future Hall of Famer.
One of the few people who've been able to stay too long, obviously Jordan being one of them, already was cemented. And so his Wizards time, people just kind of give him a pass on, which is perfectly fine. Carmelo's second, third, fourth act or whatever is becoming what he's known for, which is unfortunate. Because he had all the promise when he came into the league in Denver and just, won the title with Syracuse. So all those things were working in his favor. He had an amazing draft class. But everyone in that class, Wade and all of them, they've kind of accelerated past him. And so I think, to your question, his card prices are baked.
Yeah.
I mean, they're what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
All right, second card. Here we go. Here we go. Recognize those guys?
The Bash Brothers.
The Bash Brothers. The Bash Brothers. This is an old Topps card. The Bash Brothers. McGuire, Canseco had this card since I was a kid. Absolutely loved it. Don, I will let you ask the question on the back.
The long baseball offseason is upon us, as you know. A baseball card to buy this offseason is...
I'm going to go with Ronald Acuna.
Ooh.
Yeah, so he almost made 40-40, and if you look at what his card prices did last year, of course, he was on fire last year. His card prices went up and up and up.
Yeah.
But right when he didn't get 40-40, and then the Braves got knocked out of the playoffs, they started to come down a little bit, and they've been sagging a little bit. They've been coming back to earth. But this guy, had he won 40-40, he would have been the youngest guy ever to get it.
Point.
He's got a chance to get it again next season. He's super young player. He's got the world in front of him. He's still a great long-term investment. Go after Acuna.
Well, funny you have 40-40. I mean, Canseco,
that's true. Canseco is the original guy.
Was the 40-40
he was the
40-40. Honestly, for me, this is gonna sound weird, but I think Clayton Kershaw is the guy, and the reason why, before everyone just clicks off and be like, "Oh, what the heck," he represents promise not fulfilled, right? He's so dominant, pitcher of the generation, it's just amazing. But playoffs, not so much. And I think the Dodgers actually have the opportunity to go to the World Series. I mean, I know they have it every single year. They have a great team, a great organization. And I think if he can just get over the hump and actually win, have any postseason success, really. But if they somehow go on a roll and have a fabled end of the season and he can win one, I think that will actually bump his cards more than anyone else, and he already has a pretty good kind of base, a good floor, if you will. So I think his cards are one to invest in because it's almost a safe bet, right? You know he's going to be a Hall of Famer. You know he's going to appreciate. But if you catch lightning in a bottle, the Dodgers can win this year or maybe even next year. Presumably he still hangs on, and he can get out of that and be the hero at some level and be able to be part of that success. I think his cards can go up.
It would be a true hero story because he is in the doldrums. I mean, the way that he went out this year, the way the Dodgers went out, I mean, you could not be starting
I feel so
from
bad
a lower place.
But honestly, he owned it. Like, he's like, hey, put that on me.
He did.
I try to do short, all that stuff. So,
he did.
Long story short, I think from an investment standpoint, if you're going to get someone in the offseason, of course, he's presumably a little bit down. Haven't actually looked recently, but he's a guy who I think actually has a promise to bounce back this year.
That's a fair point. You wouldn't think it, but that is very smart. That the guy who people are now kind of forgetting and wanting to forget is the guy who you got a chance with.
But he hasn't done it yet.
Let's go back to basketball. Let's see what else I got in my personal collection. How about this? Don is the Laker over here.
I do love
D'Angelo Russell was part of your heart for a while. Obviously, no longer with the Lake Show.
I think there was a really good core there for a minute, and I think Magic and Rob Lowe's doppelganger did a good job, I think, of putting the pieces together to get the team that he currently is. But he was part of that young core, and glad to see him doing his thing with, frankly, Golden State. He's the only one left, putting up big numbers this year. But I'm sure that's not the question. What's the question?
I still like Russell, but actually the question's about the other team in LA, not the team that he left, but the other team, the Clippers. Investing in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard right now is blank.
Expensive, I think.
Expensive.
I think it's expensive. Honestly, those two guys. So what Kawhi was able to do last year was remarkable. But he did it in the East. And he had a lucky bounce, beat the 76ers. Hell, he may not even been in the finals had that not happened. And he got Golden State at the right time as they're just literally breaking down and the end of their run is happening right before our eyes. And so not taking anything away from him in Toronto, but I feel like that is going to be hard to duplicate in the West, in LA, with another team right next door and all of the competition in the West, whereas the East, I think, given all the things that happened, it's still hard to replicate that. So I think their ceiling is somewhat capped, and unless you think that they're going to win, and win in a authoritative way, like just romping through the West, I don't know if their cards could be as much of a value versus how much you're going to have to spend to get into them properly.
Totally agree. 100%. Yeah. So I put a bad idea because unless you're convinced, as you said, the Clippers are going to win it all, and they've got to win it all, especially after the season Kawhi had last year. His cards rose, I think it was something like 500% during the playoffs last year, and then they continue to go up since then. They continue to go up during the offseason when he was signed with the Clippers. They can't go much higher unless he wins another title and wins another MVP and does it convincingly. I don't think the value's there. If you want to go for a Clippers guy, I was a huge fan this summer of Landry Shamet as an absolute value play. His cards, actually, since the time I said that he was a good value play this summer, his card prices have tripled. But he's still overall a decent value, certainly just a fraction of the other guys on the Clippers. So if you want to invest in a guy who could benefit from a playoff run and actually see a multiple of appreciation, I actually think it's him.
Well, that's the theme, right? I agree, by the way. You've said this in the past in previous episodes about how a team that can get hot and can have a deep run in a playoff in any sport benefits you and benefits everyone around them. And so, honestly, I think a lot of value is picking people from those runs. Like, I wondered, and we didn't do the analysis, and maybe one of you who want to contribute to the site and write some posts and do some digging, but I did not track the Nationals players. So I don't know what Soto's cards were, for instance, on the way up, or Scherzer's or any of those. So I'm assuming they
Soto had a great run.
I'm assuming there was an appreciable
red hot.
And so to that end, if you, from a investment year-over-year standpoint, if you could earmark a team or a player within a team that could get hot, then yes, you could probably do something. But it's harder to do that and really find a gem. But not impossible. Definitely out there.
All right, here we go. Football. Let's go for a little football. A little Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray,
Kyler
rookie
Murray.
there. Luminance base rookie of Kyler Murray in his Sooners uniform. What do you think of Kyler?
I like him. He's proven the doubters wrong. He's for the older generation, he's like a throwback to Flutie, but I think he's more Russell Wilson 2.0. Like, I think he has that same kind of just winning at all costs, and his numbers could be wacky one game and different the next. I think they're going to get it going. They'll figure it out, and kind of like his moxie.
Yeah, we need him. I like Kyler. I agree. I've seen good things. We need him to have success because every year the value of the whole football card release, the value of the wax,
right,
all comes down to the rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, for sure.
Daniel Jones off to a little bit of a shaky start, but New York's going to stick with that guy for a while.
Well, they have to.
Dwayne Haskins off to a real shaky start. Not so sure about that. Drew Lock in Denver. So there's a lot of question marks. So you need the guy who comes in and performs, and you have that in Kyler.
Less with him. I would say less with him because he's shown he can put some numbers. Oh, let me read this one. This is great. The most disappointing football card to own this year has been...
The most disappointing football card to own this year has been Sam Darnold. Because there was so much run-up this summer in Sam Darnold's card prices. There was so much hype that really came out of nowhere. It's like, why is this guy all of a sudden... What had he done over the offseason to deserve all this hype? There was more expectations on the Jets, and I thought that he actually, would have been okay because the Jets should have been such an improved team this year, but it's the absolute opposite of that. They've gone totally the wrong direction, and Sam Darnold has gone the wrong direction along with it.
Well, one might say they haven't gone the wrong direction. They just go the Jets direction.
That's true. They went the Jets direction.
That's what the Jets do. For me, honestly, again, this is not a thing where you collect cards that aren't quarterbacks. I mean, that's the thing. But if you were to be a fan, and as we know, hobbyists kind of run the whole show, there's plenty of people out there who had Antonio Brown cards.
Yep.
And for me, that is the biggest disappointment. Here is a absolute just stud, wind his way out of Pittsburgh, which is fine because, the ship was kind of sinking there. Get on to Oakland. Oakland, by the way, good team. Oakland, it's a good team this year. Screwed that up. Find his way onto New England. Oh, well, there you go. He's going to win a title. This is going to be great. This is Randy Moss 2.0. Fire it up. Let's get going.
True. 1 week.
1 week. It's like, what?
1
week.
Like,
no.
1 week.
So, I don't even know what that is not just from a card perspective, but like, how can you tank a career faster? Like, no injury. He actually didn't have domestic violence. He didn't murder anybody. He just himself, just being stupid. Just like, put your phone away. Like, if you have people, anyhow, it's not a PSA for Antonio Brown, but very disappointing. Like, I don't even know what to say. I don't own anything of Antonio Brown. My wife loves fantasy football, and she's been riding Antonio Brown for years in her Dynasty League team. And this year, it's just been a disaster.
Total disaster.
Just a disaster. So if you had his card, if you've been, have a little piece of Antonio Brown, that's it.
Yeah, feel bad for you. All right, let's talk about some happy things. We got three questions left in today's episode.
Here we go.
Let's start. We're gonna go for some fire. You ready for some fire? You ready for some fire? Some fire for my personal collection. Check that bad boy out. Look at the subgrades on that Jordan 9.5 BGS with 10 subgrades. That thing is fire right there. That is one of my favorite cards in my PC right there. Don, the question on the back, the best basketball card to buy right now is blank.
Oh, so, for me, I think we talked a little bit about this earlier. I like Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma, to me, represents the guy with the biggest possibilities, only because he's going to be a major contributor to a title contending team. As you've already seen, the Lakers have, dropped their very first game of the season and then just rolled it up. And there's going to be a lot of coverage, and all his games are on. In fact, he came back and had a great fourth quarter the other night, and they've been rolling, and so he's going to benefit a lot from LeBron and AD. Unfortunately, not as much. On the flip side, you have all these injuries this year, so some people aren't, some folks aren't benefiting from having good teammates or having a good structure. But Kuzma now has come back from injury, and I think he's going to have a great year. And God forbid the Lakers actually win the whole thing. I think, obviously LeBron's prices are baked, and AD probably will get a bump because he's never been deep. But Kuzma, he's going to be instrumental, and I think he's going to go.
Yeah, that's interesting. Kuzma's actually a very, very creative, very savvy pick there. I like that. He's absolutely going to ride the coattails of the Lakers this season.
He's definitely three, the third wheel, but he's going to be a major contributor.
The third wheel is okay.
Major contributor.
When wheels 1 and 2 are LeBron and AD,
well,
third wheel is okay.
So if you look at that from an investment standpoint, he's the guy who can probably give you the best bang for your buck, and you can get into him.
Yeah, that's right. That is absolutely right. He's the guy who you could see the multiple of more easily.
Correct.
100%. Okay, well, I'm going to stick for my best basketball card to invest in right now. I'm going to stick with my pick from one of my earlier episodes where I did my top 10 NBA and had Joel Embiid. Had Joel Embiid as my number one guy. I'm sticking with him.
For sure.
I like the 76ers' chances this year of making the finals. I continue to like their chances. They maybe not off to quite as good of a start as I would have hoped. They've had a couple. They got to get some outside shooting.
Man,
I hope they get some outside shooting before the trade deadline.
They were one bounce away.
Yeah, they were. That's the thing.
They were so close. One
That's
bounce.
the thing.
That crazy shot that went down for Kawhi. Had that not happened, who knows? It could have been a totally different scenario. Because in theory, Golden State breaks down anyways.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Who knows?
Last year could have been his year.
Correct.
This year, I think, will be his year.
There you go.
And he could take the MVP along with it. He's off to a tremendously hot start. Joel Embiid is the guy I'm buying.
Very
right
viable.
now.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
All right. So speaking of hot basketball players, Don, look at this. We got a black label Luka. A black label Luka from the Optics set. This is another card from my PC, my personal collection that I absolutely love. I'll hand that over to you.
Dude, that is... Let me look at that. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Luka and Trae have both been red hot. Red hot. Between the two, the better investment is what?
Man, that's a tough question. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Trae Young, because Trae Young is a Hall of Famer who you can get at half the price of the other Hall of Famer, which is Luka. You got two Hall of Famers. These guys are Hall of Famers, and Trae Young is half the price of Luka right now, so I will take the Hall of Famer that is half the price of the other Hall of Famer.
Well, first of all, I love your ability to call the ball early. I mean, it's a little early. But Luka, to me, represents the better investment, and here's why. Trae Young, we've seen dynamic guard play. We've kind of seen his story before, but we really haven't seen a Luka since Dirk, really, take over, an international player, and frankly, being on Dallas. Dallas is sneaky good, even though they somehow dropped to the Knicks the other day. But in that game, he had 33 and 11. I mean, these numbers he's putting up is great, and he can stay out of injury. And I think Dallas can make a little hay. I just think that Trae Young, although I think very flashy, and the Hawks are whatever. I just think Luka is solid, and I think Luka can build over time. And Mark Cuban, I believe in his ownership more than I believe in whoever owns the Hawks at whatever point in time, because he's going to put whatever it takes to put a winner on the court. And so for my money, I'm thinking, to your right, both of them are great players, and they're both going to go up. But I think the organization around Luka is probably going to put more pieces in place, and he's going to have a better chance to have a more fulfilling career.
It's a fair point. It's going to be interesting to see how these guys' careers play out.
It's all speculation. It's all speculation. But that's what I think.
Let's go to a team who is not quite doing as well, but I do love that card right there. Little Mitchell Robinson RPA National Treasures. I love that card, but I'll let you ask this question.
I saw this question earlier. The New York Knicks are
an investment opportunity, and an investment opportunity. Let me read you something, Don. I've got some trivia for you.
Please help me.
Okay, I'm going to my sheet here.
Okay,
this is ESPN's player efficiency ratings season to date. Okay, I'm going to read number one.
A lot of people follow that.
This is good analytics right here. Number one is Giannis.
Giannis, yeah.
Number 3, I'm skipping 2 intentionally. Number 3 is Luka.
Okay.
Number 4 is James Harden. Number 5 is Karl Anthony Towns. Number 6 is Damian Lillard. That's pretty much a who's who of the NBA. I mean, that's pretty much the who's who of the NBA.
All NBA players on there. All NBA players on there.
Who's number 2?
I don't know.
Mitchell Robinson. You were just holding his card. Mitchell Robinson of the New York Knicks is number 2 player efficiency rating. No. He is up there he's above Luka.
No.
He's above James Harden.
No.
He's above Karl Anthony Towns.
No.
He's above Damian Lillard. This guy, Mitchell Robinson is completely underappreciated.
Yes.
The Knicks are not doing well.
Nope.
And that's nobody knows about this guy, but I'm telling you, Mitchell Robinson, he is excellent, and that's why the Knicks are actually a good investment opportunity.
So here's what I'll say about that. The Knicks are in a massive market. If they do anything, it's going to be news. I mean, Linsanity was like 2 weeks, and it could have been at least a season. It was Linsanity for 2 weeks. With that being said, I predict personally that as long as Dolan owns the team, nobody on the Knicks will do anything at any point. It just, you have to ultimately put a winning product on the court. And regardless of his numbers, I mean, Kevin Love for years threw up numbers all the time in Minnesota. They're all junk numbers. When you have a bad team and they're just so bad for so long, it's just tough. And he is actually like him as a player, but I don't know if he has enough gravitas to pull it all together. I mean, if the unicorn can't do it, how the hell is he going to do it? I mean, I don't know. So, my answer, dumpster fire. Sorry. Dumpster fire.
They are dumpster fire, but I still like Mitchell Robinson.
Just dumpster fire.
We got one final question. This is a bonus question. Last question. And I'm bringing you one of my personal favorites. Got a little Ryan Finley here.
Okay.
He got the starting job. This is actually a 1 of 1. This is a Ryan Finley. This was his Contenders Optic. I told everyone to buy this guy well before he got the starting job in Cleveland.
You did.
And I went out and bought him, and I bought a 1 of 1 from the Contenders Optic series of Ryan Finley auto. Since I hope he has some wins before the end of the year. He had a tough first game. He played Baltimore. I mean, what a bad defense to bring him in against. I mean, that's so tough. That's not the first game you want to play, right? But I think he's got a chance. Cincinnati has an easy schedule the rest of the way. He's got a chance to rattle off a couple of wins.
Time out.
And hopefully gain some momentum and get that starting job next year.
Just so we understand. How many wins do Cincinnati have at this point?
They have 0, and I blame all of that on Andy Dalton. And now this guy Ryan Finley has a chance to turn these guys around.
So you feel the red rifle is the reason why they're 0 for team, and somehow, by the way, when he gets a couple of wins, it will be 2 of the season. It'll be
if Ryan Finley leads them to a win, that will be one more win.
Well, that'll
Andy
be the first
Dalton
one.
Left them
right. That'll be the
first season. So I like this guy. All right. But the question is, Don, the quarterback card you should buy today is blank.
Honestly, I think it's Drew Brees. And I think it's Drew Brees for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, last year, they should have been in the Super Bowl. And let's be clear, had they been in the Super Bowl, they would have rolled New England, because that was just an awful offensive game. The Rams were in over their head. And then the year before that, they get unbelievably hosed by a miracle catch by Minnesota. I mean, it's just, they're kind of snake bitten. And I think this year, with him being out and having injuries and then Teddy Bridgewater coming in, the team is solid. And they won all those games while he was out. So I feel like if this is going to be a year that he can ride out, and I think this is, and again, he's already won a title. He's already going to be a Hall of Famer. So I don't know how much more of a bump it will be, but it's such a great story, and it's the anti-Patriot story, and he's a feel-good, he's a New Orleans guy. I think people will get behind it, and again, it's not a bad investment because he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's first ballot. He's going to be.
That's a good point. It's an investment with zero downside.
There's no downside. The floor is set.
There's no downside, and all it could be is upside. If they go on and win the Super Bowl and he's the MVP, there will be a lot of upside.
So maybe the answer to that question is the safest bet. I feel like he's one of the safest bet with upside. I mean, yes, you can buy some more Brady cars, and who knows? I mean, you can maybe sell it to some Pat fan for absurd money, but truthfully speaking, his prices are baked. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to win this year. There's trying to think of all the people who fit the criteria of potential Hall of Famers with the potential to win the Super Bowl this year. And, New Orleans is good. They're a good team, and they've been close. They've had some things not break their way, and I think that this year could be their year to kind of go over the hump. And if it does, then Drew Brees benefits, dramatically.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thanks for watching our first episode of What's the Card. Hope you enjoyed the new format. We're going to do this from time to time as kind of a special episode type deal. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and we look forward to seeing you back for the next episode of What's the Card. I'm Jeff, and this is Commissioner Don.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, y'all.